because I was angry with them, not because I hated them, but because I wanted to keep them with me. And as my obsession grew, I was saving body parts such as skulls and skeletons. And eventually I did turn to cannibalism, the whole mixture already prepared. A person would drink it, fall asleep, and that's when they would be strangled. I wish I could say that it just left completely, but no, there are times when I still do have the old compulsion.
Jeffrey Dahmer, also known as the Milwaukee Cannibal or the Milwaukee Monster, was an American serial killer and sex offender who committed the murder and dismemberment of 17 young men and boys between 1978 and 1991. His crimes included necrophilia, cannibalism, and the preservation of body parts. Born on May 21, 1960, in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Dahmer exhibited troubling behavior from a young age, including a fascination with dead animals. His first murder occurred shortly after his high school graduation in 1978. Dahmer's killings were characterized by extreme brutality and often involved luring his victims to his home with promises of money or sex. Dahmer was finally apprehended on July 22, 1991, after one of his intended victims managed to escape and alert the police. When officers entered Dahmer's apartment, they discovered photographs of dismembered bodies and a collection of human remains. He was arrested and later confessed to the murders. In 1992, Dahmer was convicted of 15 of the 17 murders and sentenced to 15 consecutive life terms in prison. On November 28, 1994, he was beaten to death by a fellow inmate at the Columbia Correctional Institution in Portage, Wisconsin. Jeffrey Dahmer's case remains one of the most infamous in the history of American crime, drawing significant media attention and public fascination due to the particularly gruesome nature of his crimes. Dahmer once mistakenly drank a sleeping drink he had made for one of his potential victims, and when he woke up, he found that the person had stolen $300 plus a camera and a few other items. Dahmer said of his 12th victim, "We spent the whole weekend together. Can you believe? It was exactly like a real relationship. We made love, walked in the park together, bought food, and cooked together. For a moment, just a moment, I felt like everything was okay. I felt that my life was normal. I felt that this one will not leave me anymore and I don't have to hold him by force. But when it was Sunday night, he said that he's going to leave here by bus tomorrow morning. He said that he could not leave his job. I knew I couldn't keep her with me forever, so I put sleeping pills in her drink, and when she passed out, I had sex with her one last time. Then I killed him exactly like all the previous people." The number of mental illnesses Dahmer suffered from during his short life is shockingly high. Diseases including depression, borderline personality disorder, schizoid personality disorder, schizotypal personality disorder, antisocial personality disorder, narcissistic personality disorder, obsessive-compulsive personality disorder, and necrophilia. His parents were Christian fundamentalists, and when Jeffrey was 18, they separated after years of conflict. He committed his first murder in 1978, just a few days after graduating from high school. Dahmer invited a 19-year-old boy named Stephen Hicks to his home, but eventually killed him because he didn't want Stephen to leave. Jeffrey later attended Ohio University, but was expelled after 2 semesters. Then he joined the U.S. Army, but after 2 years he was discharged from the Army due to excessive drinking. After this incident, he went to Miami Beach, Florida, because he could not face his parents and was tired of the cold. Between June 1978 and July 19, 1991, he brutally slaughtered 17 men. He was also fond of cannibalism because he believed that by eating the flesh of his victims, they would come back to life inside him. Dahmer was finally arrested on July 22, 1991, while cheating on another man. During the attempted murder, this person managed to escape and turn himself in to the police. The Milwaukee butcher, who was eventually Dahmer had poor eyesight, he never wore glasses during the trial, because crowded gatherings made him anxious. He was a staunch fan of the Star
Says
Wars
he
series
snuck the
and
corpse of his victim, Stephen Toomey, out of his hotel room in a suitcase. Then he took it to his...
As a child, Jeffrey gave his favorite teacher a jar of baby frogs, but the next day he found out that the teacher had given the frogs to another boy. He was very angry because of this. He sneaks into the boy's house and kills the frogs by pouring gasoline in their trunks. Contrary to the rumors that Dahmer entertained his friends with human flesh, he himself always considered these stories to be false. Even in prison, he tried to call one of his neighbors and assure her that this is not true, but she left his calls unanswered. One of his colleagues claimed in an interview, "It didn't matter how much you disagreed with him on an issue, he could always convince you and bring you to his front." According to Patrick Kennedy, the lead detective on the case, Jeffrey received money, cigarettes, and hundreds of letters on a daily basis from men and women who were infatuated with him, and sometimes even wanted to be friends with him. The only victim that Jeffrey did not intend to kill in advance, and also had no memory of how to kill him, was 26-year-old Stephen Toomey. He meets Stephen in a bar and invites him to his hotel room, but the next night when he wakes up, Tommy's lifeless body with his chest sunken by punches and blood dripping from his mouth shocks him. He also has to carry Tommy's body out in a big suitcase. While moving the body, the taxi driver who came after Jeffrey complains about the heavy weight of the suitcase and jokingly says, "What's in this suitcase? Corpse?"